In this brief training session, we will talk about adding new modules onto a page. We've talked previously about working within pages, creating new pages, moving them around so that they move around within the menu structure and are in different places. We've talked about moving modules around on a specific page, but as yet we haven't talked about adding new things to a page. Obviously, if you already have content in a page and you want to simply add new content into that block of an HTML module or an article module or an FAQ module, then you go about doing that by working within that module to add in new content. But there are times when you want to add brand new modules for new purposes, and normally you want to style them differently from some other ones or put them in new locations, and that's when you are then adding new modules onto a page. So to begin with, we're going to put ourselves into edit mode so that we can work in this page. I believe that if I was also to simply start by adding a module, it would put me into edit mode, but I always do that as a first step. Anyhow, in the top center, if you have the proper rights to manage this page that allows you to add new modules onto the page, you will see a menu item in the control panel called Modules. From there, you can have two options for how to add a module onto the page. Either you are adding a new module or you are adding an existing module. Let's first begin by talking about adding a new module. When you click to add a new module, you will be presented with a screen that scrolls left to right, and it's a pretty long scroll of options, that allows you to choose different modules. You'll notice that there's a drop-down that lets you choose common modules or developer-related modules or all modules. All modules is chosen by default. But as you start to work within the site, you're going to find that there are a few key modules you'll use again and again and that you are becoming very familiar with. I want to mention the HTML module because that is the core, straightforward content module. If you start to type anything into the search field, it will begin to limit the list of items that are in this slider so that hopefully you can get down to a manageable one or two items to choose between. Here I'm going to choose the HTML module, and the first time I'm adding a module to the page, I'm going to drag, and notice how you are then moving and choosing a location where you want to drop this module, just like you do when you are moving one around on the page. As soon as I let go, it will refresh the page, and in yellow for a moment or two, it will highlight the module that you have just added. At that point, you can begin working with that module and giving it a title and working with it in general. The other way that you can add modules, if you don't want to drag, is you can use the position icon in the top right, and you can choose by name which pane you want to add a module to. So that if I say that I want to add a new module to the right pane, it will refresh, and you'll notice a little yellow highlight of a second module now added to this location. In this way, you are able to add modules all over the page and begin working with them, regardless of what type of module they are. Now, there are specialized modules, forum modules, article modules, FAQ modules, and some of them have different ways that you have to set them up, but for the most part, your key content modules that we often will advise people about are the HTML module, the document list module, the links list module, a few core ones that you'll use again and again and again for standard type of content additions to your pages. If the first half of adding a module was about adding a new module to a page, the second half is the other option that was available. And I'm going to go to a testing page to show you how we will add a module from the home page onto this other page. At this point, I've loaded the testing page. We're not on the home page any longer. And if I choose to add a module to this page, and I choose existing module, you'll notice that the top left has a different option. It's an option to choose a page on the website. And at this point, if I choose that I want to load a module off of the home page, it will show me all of the modules that currently exist on the home page. A couple that don't have any titles, and those two new ones that I added that have the text HTML title. That's a good point or flag for me to mention that it's always best practice for you to title your modules that you've put on a page, even if you don't have them visible on the page. If you have them titled well and hidden by their container choice, then you're always able to see what module you're looking at when you look at a list like this. In this particular case, I'm going to grab what I think is the second one on the home page, and I'm going to drag it and place it here. At this point, I have made a reference to an existing module that exists over on the home page. And rather than creating a second copy or a disconnected instance of that module, this is a reference to an existing module. That means if I come over on this page and I begin changing the text that we find in this particular module, if I type in "this is new text" and I press save, we're obviously going to see it here in this location, and when we go back to our home page, we're going to see the same text in place. Because these are no longer two separate modules on different pages, they are the same module, simply referenced as a second instance of that same module on a different page. So if I go back to home at this point, we will now see that this is new text. So we've covered the concept of adding new modules. We've added a brand new module, we've added an existing module, and we've placed them on the page and have moved them around. That's the end of this training session. Thank you very much.